Thank you very much. You can say doing it. Chude said, talked about being a citizen of Africa. How many people want to be citizens of Africa? Okay, show hands. Okay. Okay. So, how many are going to be on the plane to Rwanda tomorrow? Fantastic. And Ali also talked about, us understanding the difference between hope and reality. Right? Do we remember? Okay. A few years ago, well, about 6 years ago, I decided to take the step a little ahead of hope and face the reality that is Africa, and contribute a lot of what I learned overseas in England, particularly, to Africa. A lot of times particularly in the film and cinema industry, a lot of times when people talk about Nigerian film industry or Nollywood, they think, and when I say people, I mean a lot of people outside Africa, they think, rubbish, poor quality, crap, right? And also when independent, international studios, and especially Hollywood, when you talk to them about the Nigerian cinema industry, they think, what? Never heard of it. Didn't know it existed. For me, I see a country where there were 3 cinemas between 2004 and 2008. But between 2008 and 2014, at the end of this month, we would have added another 18 cinemas in Nigeria. I see a country where a small 3-screen cinema in Surulere in Lagos turns over in a year far more money than big multiplexes in England. I see a country where just Nollywood films in the cinemas, in 2013, we're turning over a total in a year about $900,000 totally, just for Nollywood films. At the end of 2014, we would have topped $3 million. So I don't see opportunity anymore, as far as the Nigerian cinema industry is concerned. I see opportunity already being realized. So I see that we're transferring our hope now into reality, particularly in the Nigerian cinema industry. But the reason I asked, how many people want to be citizens in Africa, because I feel, and I speak to a lot of my friends and colleagues and family out here, that the thing in your head, the skill, the expertise, the talent in your hand, is very vital, it's very important for Africa, and you must consider it. So what's in your hand? In the last 6 years, as we face challenges setting up cinemas in Nigeria, I asked my colleagues, what's in your hand? We didn't have capital. We didn't have money to set up cinemas. But we had something in our hands. But before I tell you a little bit more about the giant strides in the cinema industry in Nigeria, let me tell you a little bit about how I've trained myself to regularly recognize what I've got in my hands. My full name is Kene Mpkaru. I'm the son of Chukwudum Mpkaru of Okbuno Otolo Nnewi in Anambra State. I come from a line of leaders of community, people that once they set their minds to something and they know by God's grace they can achieve it, they do achieve it. So at the age of 14, in secondary school, St. John's College, Jos, Northern Nigeria, I developed a personal motto, and that is learn what it takes, understand what is required, and play a part in implementing what is needed. And that has guided me all through my life. But something else happened around that time that kind of changed, had another mind shift for me. At about 15, just after I lost my dad, I was selected in secondary school still. I was selected in a number of sports teams. I was very good at football, table tennis, badminton, volleyball, 100 meters dash, 400, high jump, you name it, All I had to do, I could be the best in anything I wanted to do. I had no limitations in my mind, achieving anything. So we went for some inter-school competition, and a colleague of mine, I was sitting on a substitute bench for table tennis at the time, and a classmate asked me, he said, what sports were you selected for? So I reeled out everything, you know. And he turned to me eyeball to eyeball and said, jack of all trade. I thought, okay, that's not bad, you know. And he said, master of none. I was crushed. You know, me, master of none. You know, I was one of the best students in school. I could do anything, master of none. That changed my life. I swore in my head at that time, I will never be referred to as master of none again. You know, and so fast forward to 1988. I'd finished my first degree in Nigeria, moved to England. 1991, I was working at the Odeon Cinema in Swiss Cottage. That was my first stint in cinema business. My general manager, my boss's boss's boss, he was a general manager, an Australian folk named Richard Lingford. He said to me once, after 12 weeks of work, you know how it is, after 12 weeks, we've got to give you a permanent contract. He said to me, oh, Kenny, you know, I told him my name was Kene Mpkaru, and he called me Kenny. You know, so he wanted to give me a permanent contract. I said, I don't know what a permanent contract is. I'm not interested in a contract. He was startled, and he said, what are you interested in? I said, your job. I said, I like what you do. I like this business. I want to be like you. You know, what do I have to read? What exam do I have to take? You just tell me, I will learn it, I will understand it, and I will do it. You know, so Richard sat there, and so Richard took me on a path of showing me what it took to being a cinema manager, and that was my first step. And then I moved on to supervisor, trainee assistant manager, trainee general manager, and in 3.5 years of asking Richard that I wanted his job, or telling him I wanted his job, I became the general manager, and I became his colleague. So, and by that appointment, I became the first black general manager in cinema in the UK. You know. Okay, so fast forward a little bit more. 2008, after 17 years in Odeon, I decided to relocate to Nigeria. I'd seen an idea. I'd got a glimpse of what was about to happen, or had started happening in Nigeria, in the cinema industry. And I decided to move back to Nigeria. So myself, some colleagues, Kene Mpkaru, ex-Odeon as well, Peter Balogun, ex-Odeon, Remy Adeyanju, ex-Odeon, we packed our bags and moved to Nigeria. And interestingly, you know, I moved first, and Kene moved a couple of months after me. Interesting, when we started setting up a cinema called Genesis Deluxe Cinemas in partnership with a local Nigerian businessman and my friend. Kene hadn't come, my colleague, and I called him one day before December 2008, and I said to him, I really need you in Nigeria. Just like I said to you guys, I'm saying to you guys, we need you in Nigeria, we need you in Africa. You know, he said to me, when? I said, yesterday. 4 days later, 8 cars were on their way to Heathrow. He moved to Nigeria. Now, this is somebody that was born in England, moved back as a kid, moved to Nigeria, and then moved back at the age of 15 to London, and had never been to Nigeria. So I told him that 4 days later, 8 cars were moving to Heathrow with all his property, sold everything. And so we started the journey. But 2 years later, 2010, the partnership collapsed. We had set up a cinema called Genesis Deluxe Cinemas, but the partnership collapsed. Perhaps I didn't quite learn enough or understand enough, you know, how to do business in Nigeria. You know, jack of all trades, master of none. You know, it was, and at that time, that was when my wife Uzo and my 2 kids, Jade and Zara, were relocating to Nigeria. And as I was welcoming them at the airport, I was telling them, oh, by the way, I've just walked out of Genesis, the cinema we set up. Now, that was tough. A few tears flowed. It was tough, but we then decided to set another chart. coming back to London was an option, but we decided to stay and set on another path. And we said to ourselves, how do we do this? What's in our hands? We brought out a blank sheet. What's in our hands? Talent. We have talent. Have we done this thing before? Yes. Do we have a God? Yes. Is this talent required in Nigeria? Yes. Do we have the money? No. Do we know the banks that can give us the money? Yes. Do we have what the banks require, like collateral? No. We said, Che. And by by interpretation, Che means blimey. It was very difficult time for us. I'd relocated Uzo, my wife. She was on a 6-figure salary in London. I relocated her. My kids were in stable schools. I relocated my colleagues from Odeon, stable job, right, earning a salary, and they came to Nigeria, and we couldn't even pay them. I said to Kene and some of the other colleagues, I said, can you take care of yourself for 6 months in Nigeria? How long can you take care of yourself? He said 6 months. That 6 months turned into 4 years. But we had seen it, and relocating back to London was an option. But like the early explorers to Africa, we had seen it. We had seen the possibilities. We had seen Africa. We had seen the opportunities. We refused to give up. So Filmhouse Cinemas and Film One Distribution were formed. Okay. And at the same time, the Nigerian federal government made available $200 million for the entertainment and creative industry. So we went back, talent, on a blank sheet, formed some more business plan, went to it, and became the first company in Nigeria to access this fund. And we now started. So December 2012, we launched our first 2 cinemas in Surulere, Lagos, and Calabar in South Nigeria. Okay. And interestingly, we, at the end of this month, in a few weeks' time, we will have 9 cinemas altogether. So we would have opened 9 cinemas in 2 years, employing 300 people. Okay. Very importantly, again, business multiplier effect that we've created by doing this small thing is at least $5 million per annum. And I'll give you an example. The local printer that prints our weekly film program, for every cinema, it's 5,000 magazines we print. The popcorn boxes, 5,000 per cinema. This guy, this local printer, I'm so proud of him, people like that. Slowly guy before, but now he has like 2 BMWs. And, I'm thinking of going into printing business as well. And I'm so proud of him. If I tell him I'm doing TEDx, for instance, Filmhouse is doing, supporting TEDx, I need 100 T-shirts. He'll tell me when. I say, tomorrow morning. He say, how much do you want to pay me? I say, I'm not paying you. I'll get 110. Because he knows, he's saying for as long as we're looking to open 25 cinemas in 6 years, we're going to do it in 3.5 years. For as long as you have 25 cinemas or more, he will be a billionaire, easily, And we used to have an account officer, David. David was working with us, and we do a lot of logistic haulage, because we move popcorn, we move everything to different parts of Nigeria. We have a cinema in Surulere, Lagos, Apapa, Lagos, Ikoyi, Lagos, opening in a few weeks. We have Calabar Marina. We have Asaba. We have Port Harcourt. Next year, we're opening another 10, all across Nigeria. Somebody's going to be moving this. Trucks are moving around Nigeria. David got it. David resigned, bought 2 trucks, and solving our problem. I love that. I love that, And Sule is our tailor, right? Sule knows that in things we do, we like to look good. So he hooks us up with stuff like this, And I tell you what Sule does, just before every holiday, maybe every quarter, he comes to the office. He say, oh, Oga, I want to come greet you. And then he comes with a lot of materials, smart guy, And by the time he leaves the office, he'll be making another at least 20 for people in the office. That's business multiplier effects. I haven't talked about the taxes. I haven't talked about all sorts of things. And for me, that is Africa. We also had other people join us, from the diaspora and different, Olajumoke Bamboye, financial consultant, Don Omope, television producer. He's joining us in January. Akin Jaloso, he was a GM at Sainsbury. He joined us 2 months ago. Craig Sean was the director of Odeon and also a Hollywood studio, was the vice president of Sony Pictures. He just left Nigeria 2 days ago. He's joined us already. Chris Atkinson from Liverpool. Chris Atkinson does a lot of our sound and projection stuff. He's in Nigeria right now, So it's, we see it. We see the opportunities. We're changing things there in that space. And I tell you, in 2 years' time, the film producers that are in Nollywood and indeed connected with Nigeria, once they release their films, they'll be making a lot of money. And for us, that's the pride and joy. We create this little thing, but the multiplier effect around it is huge. So ladies and gentlemen, I would really like to encourage you to consider what's in your hands and the value of what's in your hand to Nigeria. Consider the impact you can make in Nigeria. Yes, it is frustrating. Sorry, when I say Nigeria, I mean Africa. But you know what I mean. Hint, hint. It is frustrating. There's a time I was so challenged. When our partnership collapsed at Genesis before we started Filmhouse, I was so challenged. When as a man, as a provider, as a father, as a leader, you're absolutely at zero level. And you have all these people depending on you. People have moved to Nigeria depending on you. You got your family depending on you. You got to make a decision. But I've seen it. I refuse to, just like the early explorers, I refuse to take my eyes away from that possibility and from those realities. And I chose to stay in Nigeria. So what inspires me? I'm inspired by the story of two biblical characters. David. When David went to face the giant Goliath, David only said one thing. He said, I've not fought a giant before, basically. But I've fought a lion and I've fought a bear with my slingshot. And so I can take on this giant. I'm inspired by the story of Joseph. He got a vision and a dream that he'll be king. The minute he got that, he was thrown into all sorts of prisons. But one thing kept him going, his talent. He had a talent to interpret vision. The same thing took him to the king, Pharaoh, and he became governor. So I'm inspired by all that. I'm inspired by the early explorers. When they got into the shores of Nigeria and Africa, they met a jungle. They took off their dicky bow ties, put on their Wellington boots, got their cutlasses and their machetes and went into the jungle. But they didn't take their focus away from the gold, the diamond, So it is, when I go back to Nigeria, I don't expect air conditioners. I don't expect Leicester Square. I don't expect Piccadilly Circus. I expect a jungle. Now, when I get to Nigeria and I see a Ferrari, hallelujah. So I would like to encourage you to consider what you got in your hands. Africa needs your talent. It can be frustrating, yes. It is challenging, yes. It is tough, yes. But it's also exciting and rewarding. Thank you very much.